Now, in its 12th year, this is Gabnet. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey everybody, live from Holland in New York City. Guess what? It's me. I'm Alex, and this is a Ramble. Ladies and gentlemen, that be Chuck Farnham. Hello, Chuck. Chuck's out.
Howdy doody.
He's out in Fallon, Nevada.
In the middle of nowhere where the pollen is 10 over 10.
Well, we got pollen here. It's getting higher, and I'm feeling it. You know.
Damn.
Yeah. Well,
This has been a bad one this year.
I used to suffer from pollen horribly when we were growing up in Marin County.
Yeah.
And what I had was a pollen allergy, and I remember giving me a shit test in which they shot me about 6 little shots in my arm, and then they waited to see which one blew up.
Right.
You know, and they said your son is allergic to pollen and animal fur. So we suggest you move to the somewhere where there's pollen and get a cat.
Yeah, that would be perfect.
So we did exactly that, and for the first couple of seasons, I wheezed a lot, you know, and we lived in a place that has 79 stairs to get to it. Okay, I had to climb up 79 stairs every day, and sometimes I have to carry my bicycle up that.
Ugh.
So I'd put it in my shoulder, and I'd walk up. But anyway.
I'd like to see you do that now.
Well, I couldn't get up the first flight of stairs.
Yeah, me neither.
But anyway, that's how we got up there. I once said to my parents, can we put in an escalator? Is there some solution to this? Anyway.
Yeah, the word walk up doesn't excite me too much.
I used to wheeze like crazy. And then the cat also, But after about 2 years of that, or 2 seasons of the pollen and about a year of the cat, my allergies were gone, you know. And that's the best way to solve your kid's allergies, just do an onslaught. People go, I got to get him to get shots. He's got to go to the doctor and everything. No, you got pollen, let him get used to it, you know.
Yeah, I don't go outside when they're plowing the cornfield across the street. Because I know there's about to be a problem before I get to the car. I'm a rainforest before I get to the car, so I just wait till they're done plowing around 8 in the morning.
Yeah.
And then go get in the car.
Oh, okay. All right. They plow that early?
Yeah, they don't want to be out in the heat either.
Yeah, right. Anyway, so here is Chuck Farnham, ladies and gentlemen. He came to San Francisco.
I did indeed.
On his own dime. We didn't even pay you.
That's true.
You weren't a paid employee on that show.
How nice.
Huh?
And after all the work I did. Very busy. Very busy.
Here was the bit, ladies and gentlemen. At a certain point, we had somebody who we knew. In this case, it was Curtis DiMartini.
Curtis DiMartini.
Yes, who was holding the mic and everything like that. Oh, my business manager is trying to call me. I'm going to go, no, I don't want that. Okay. I can't answer it right now, Gary. He's doing our taxes. And so, we have these have these problems with with taxes every year. He has to figure out things, and there's some stuff he doesn't know. And then Marjorie has a bunch of stuff with her apartment that she sold, and so on and so forth. And so I get a call about every hour from Gary. Can I talk to your wife? He probably wants to talk to Marjorie, but anyway.
Yeah.
I'll talk to him later. This is more important. Anyway,
exactly.
Allergies, folks, allergies.
All right, so we went to San Francisco.
Anyway, we did the show in San Francisco, and you suggested that we do a bit, and that you would come to San Francisco to do it. And so what it was at the show, Curtis DiMartini, who was running the microphone and everything, or somebody's supposed to come up and say to me, we had a Q&A session towards the end of the show. And I'm standing there, and people are coming up asking questions, and I answer them, and then another question. We had somebody loaded to ask this question: whatever happened to Chuck Farnham? And I go, gee, I don't know. And then from the side of the stage, you come on.
Wearing a diaper.
No, wait a minute. You come on from the side of the stage wearing a diaper and using a walker.
Walker.
You don't need a walker, do you?
No.
No, but using a walker with a horn on it.
The horn on it. That was my son's edition.
Okay.
He thought the horn would really add.
Did you actually
bring,
bring?
and it did.
Did you have to bring that whole thing down, or did they disassemble?
No, I brought it with me.
Really, boy, we should have paid you. Anyway, then he comes out wearing a diaper, naked everywhere else, right?
The diaper wasn't fitting so well either.
Well, we'll explain that in a moment. And I think it was on both. I think it was on. Was it on the first show or the second show where your balls were showing?
I think that was the second show.
Yeah, yeah. And you walk out and your balls are. People can see your balls through this thing because it's just. I don't know why you just didn't wear underpants under it.
I don't know either.
But you just put the diaper on.
There are no rules to this.
And what was the diaper? It wasn't even an adult diaper.
No, it was. It was an adult, the new adult diaper, and I was right there by Will Durst, and Will's covered his head and tried because he's got a clear shot of everything.
Yeah, yeah. But you came out pretty well in a diaper, and that was your appearance. That was the joke.
I'm here, Alex.
Well, and people may not get it because he used to be kind of the stunt guy on our show. Tell them some of the things you used to do where you were naked and you would go out in the street and wearing almost nothing.
Yeah.
And you
occasionally actually nothing.
And what were some of the things you had people do?
We had people eating off me, different types of food. We're up at the mayor's office.
I think you did taco. You did taco chips.
Yeah.
And you were covered and slathered with salsa or something.
The funny part of this whole thing is Lisa Carr and David Schwartz.
Lisa Carr, by the way, was our before Bubbles, our traffic person.
Right.
And check her name out. Check her name out.
And
Lisa Carr.
They had contacted me weeks and weeks before this, going, Are you coming to that Bennett thing, that Sketchfest thing? And I went, no, I've got to go to a garage sale. And Lisa was unhappy. She was very unhappy about. And she's like, "You're not coming," and I'm like, "No, I'm not. I'm definitely not coming." And the same thing with Schwartz. I'm not coming.
Yeah.
No, David. How can you not come? I'm not coming. I'm telling you, I won't be there.
Okay.
So this happened multiple times, and then we do the bit. Both of them come downstairs afterwards, and hug me, and we're like, "Thank God you didn't tell us. Thank God we didn't think you were going to be here because that's exactly the surprise we needed that night." So it worked. It worked for us. We kept it good and quiet, and it paid off.
Yeah, but I mean, it worked well. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, people were disgusted.
Well, fat guy naked, as we have proven many times, always works.
Always works. Yeah.
It always works.
It always works. But a lot of people were going, ew.
Yeah. Congratulations. How do you think I feel?
Nobody left the room, though, however, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
No, they don't know what else is going to happen.
Yeah. And then you
had the perfect spot for the perfect bit. It was good.
And then
all good.
If people want to see it, they can go online. It's on my Facebook page, one of the many videos that are there. And then also the video is on YouTube as well, of the second show.
So it came out well.
Yeah, no, it came out great. I mean,
I had a great time. Like I said, you walked out there happy as a clam. I walked out there just.
I walked
it was like
out.
we were floating out of the room. My God, these people like to remember.
You know, I was invigorated because I didn't know that many people really cared. You know,
Right.
I got to tell you, whenever they asked me to do a show like that in San Francisco, and Bubbles was the one that was constantly bugging me about it. Hey, do you want to
Pounding
do
for
a
years,
show at the Throckmorton, whatever? Finally, he came up with this thing, and I went, I'll think about it, okay?
Right.
And one of the reasons was I didn't feel that after 29 years, which, is a third of my life, and probably less than a third of my life, but almost a third of my life.
Yeah.
And is certainly half a life for a lot of the people that were my audience. That's a
Sure.
long time ago, all right? And would anybody remember enough to want to come to a show with us?
Right. I had a woman come up to me going, "You were my entire high school. I was just waiting for you to do something stupid every morning."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm sorry." She's like, "No, no." She goes, "I would stay home sick just in case I missed one."
Wow.
So, yeah, it makes you feel really, really good.
It makes you feel as though you did something to improve other people's lives. Well, I didn't think there were that many people that cared.
Yeah.
So when I did this show, they sold out the first show in about 5 days, something like that.
Right.
And they said, well, it came to a point where they wanted me to do a second show. They wanted me to do it on Sunday. And I said, nah, nobody's going to be here. They all plan to come out for a certain amount of time, and they're not going to come back.
Right.
So then they offered me one other time, and I said no. And then they said, hey, the people go on right after you have canceled their show. Would you like to do it? And I said, well, what the hell? Everybody will get paid a little more, and it'll be good. Okay. So we do it, and we didn't sell out till the last moment, but we sold out 2 shows.
Yeah.
That was something like 900 tickets, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. It was a crowd.
Yeah. Total, between the 2 shows. And I was just amazed by that, And then when I went out and here I got a standing ovation, but Marjorie said I did.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. I was overwhelmed by that because this is 29 years. This is 29 years,
Yeah, that's when I knew the thing was going to work, when all those people stood up. I thought, okay, this is going to work out.
Well, they were there for anything. They just wanted to see us.
Yeah.
They wanted to be able to look at me and then look at the person next to them and say, I don't look that bad, do I?
Right.
I mean,
well, they wanted to relive their childhoods. A lot of people, I think.
It was amazing. It was it was amazing the kind of effect we had on people. We just did a stupid little morning show, right? Which we thought was stupid at the time, but apparently
I think we were all shocked that we were getting a paycheck.
Yeah. It's true.
Like, what do you do in the morning? Well, after 10, go take a nap, and Alex and I have lunch. That's what we do.
Yeah. So it was just really something to see the love and affection they had for this stupid little thing we did every morning.
I think afterwards when I called you, I said there was a lot of love in that room.
Well, I don't think when I was doing the shows, I had any idea of the kind of effect it was having on people.
No.
I just thought we were doing this show and, hey, enjoy it, have fun.
Rarely, every once in a while, somebody would come up to me out on the street and tell me how much it affected them. But it didn't happen often, but when it did, it was always like, I'd have an intern with me or something, and the intern would just look at me going, what the hell are you guys doing to people? And I was like, I don't know. But,
the thing that made it so overwhelming for me is that was exactly the kind of effect I wanted to have on people doing a show. But I didn't know if I had ever accomplished it.
You wanted something where it felt like when they listened, they knew these people, and these people really knew each other when they weren't at the station. And you could learn what they were doing the rest of the day, mm-hmm. or what they did the night before, or how they felt in the morning. And so we felt really real to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why they came into the show and watched it. They had that live studio audience.
Yeah. You know, I mean, but it just amazed me, and and the thing that bothered me the most is that I was so overwhelmed by it and so appreciative of it that I became not Alex Bennett they knew on radio. I became more of a person who was taken aback by this whole situation. You know, the
Right.
Alex Bennett on the air would have gone, don't do that. Don't venerate me on any level.
I can remember us going out to lunch a billion times, and the two of us walking down the street with our heads down so nobody would say anything.
Yeah.
We were afraid of them.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was the show's over. You know?
Right? I don't know what to do now.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
the trained pony turned himself off.
yeah. But I mean, it was just I was overwhelmed by it, and I don't get overwhelmed by much.
No, I walked out of there and I just felt so happy.
Well, we left San Francisco, and Marjorie pretty much said, "I understand it now."
Yeah.
She never could understand the amount of fame that I had in San Francisco.
Right.
And she'd never seen me on stage. That was
Right.
another thing, except in videos. She'd never seen me on stage. So there she got to see me on stage, and she was just overwhelmed by what she saw because she said, I understand now.
Yeah.
You know,
No, it's
when-
very, very obvious when you walked out and that crowd erupted that they remembered.
Yeah, and that was something for Marjorie to see. You know?
Yeah.
She only, the most she knows me of the Radio Alex or these podcasts, for instance, which is
Right.
isn't doing radio really, and
Yep.
the fact that I was over at Sirius XM when she got to know me, and she would come down and see me work at Sirius XM, but she'd only seen me in that small,
Right.
window of my life.
Not with a crowd in the room and everybody gathered around, and the stuff between, the stuff when we weren't on the air in that studio was, even better in some cases. The audience and the people who were in the studio were just having a party every day.
Yeah, it was nice. People don't know we did a radio show. Really, I'm serious. A lot of people don't know that. And we had a live studio audience. We built a studio that could accommodate about 50 people, and we'd have a live studio audience every day. Some days when we had like the biggest, we had, who was it? The show was
Tori Amos, Jackie Chan.
Tori Amos and Jackie Chan. And the line went around the block.
It was unbelievable.
I mean, we couldn't fit all those people in the studio. It'd be impossible. But Tori Amos, and she was going to play some music on the show live.
Right.
And of course, Jackie Chan at that time was one of the biggest action heroes in the world.
Still is, I think.
Probably still is, yeah. But I mean, we had him on that morning, and that show, you couldn't get in the door. It was just
No, we had to set up a thing the day before so the regulars all got to come in, and then there were extra seats after the regulars.
Yeah, right. The regulars only amounted to like about 10 people, however.
Right, but they were very solid in coming every day.
Every day we had one guy brought donuts every morning.
Yeah, Larry Sandwich, he would go on buy food.
Yeah.
Tan Man would just be Tan Man.
I gave everybody a name, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was fun.
They were a great bunch, so we
Yeah.
had a great time with those people.
So fame is, when you go 27 years, you go from
Right.
being, you go from what's the old joke about, get me Alex, when you start out in the business, they go, who's Alex Bennett?
Right.
And then the next time you audition, they go, oh, here's Alex Bennett. And then they go, get me Alex Bennett.
Right.
And then they go, get me an Alex Bennett type. And the final part of your life is, who's Alex Bennett?
Right.
And And
Now, in its 12th year, this is Gabnet. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Ladies and gentlemen, that be Chuck Farnham. Hello, Chuck. Chuck's out.
Howdy doody.
He's out in Fallon, Nevada.
In the middle of nowhere where the pollen is 10 over 10.
Well, we got pollen here. It's getting higher, and I'm feeling it. You know.
Damn.
Yeah. Well,
This has been a bad one this year.
I used to suffer from pollen horribly when we were growing up in Marin County.
Yeah.
And what I had was a pollen allergy, and I remember giving me a shit test in which they shot me about 6 little shots in my arm, and then they waited to see which one blew up.
Right.
You know, and they said your son is allergic to pollen and animal fur. So we suggest you move to the somewhere where there's pollen and get a cat.
Yeah, that was perfect.
So we did exactly that, and for the first couple of seasons, I wheezed a lot, you know. Otherwise, you're feeling okay?
Everything is great.
Yeah?
Everything could not be better other than the sinus festival going on out here.
Yeah. And you're gonna get that tooth taken care of?
The what?
The missing tooth.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it needs to be taken care of.
Yeah, well, I'm going. Had trepidations about doing a show. He didn't have any at all.
You warmed right up.
And then we had Will Durst, who had a stroke and was in a wheelchair doing his act, and they loved him. They just absolutely adored him.
You know, Will is San Francisco.
Yeah, I mean, they really loved him, and they loved him being there. And Bubbles, of course, always works, always turns out okay.
Right.
And it was a great little show, you know. And if you want to see it, as I say, it's on YouTube.
Yeah.
And it's worth. The second show is on YouTube. The first show is on my Facebook page, way down. You have to scroll to get to it, but it's there. Maybe I should repost it. I don't know.
Yeah, post it and make it stick to the top.
Yeah, you can't make it stick to the top.
Really?
You can't. I wish there were a way. Let me see here. Oh yeah, we got about a minute. So otherwise, you're feeling okay?
Everything is great.
Yeah.
Everything could not be better other than the sinus festival going on out here.
Yeah. And you're gonna get that tooth taken care of?
The what?
The missing tooth.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it needs to be taken care of.
Yeah. Well, I'm going through another root canal.
Yeah. See, you're going to one of those nightmares, and I'm just.
Yeah. Well, I have a dentist that if I need him there are two dentists there. He will pull my tooth and put the implant in all in the same day.
That just scares me.
What do you mean dentists scare you? What I'm frightened by is the bill, and as I say, the worst part about dentistry, it's boring.
Yeah, I think they're all lying to us, and there's probably ways.
I have a question. I have a question about it. They say, yeah, you're gonna need a root canal. No, this thing's down there, but you just trust them. You have to trust them because you don't know. You can't look down there. You can't tell. I'm missing a tooth up. I'm kind of missing a tooth up here because she ground it all down. And I got to go back tomorrow, and she then starts doing the root canal, and then 2 days of that, and then they're going to put a crown on it. So, whatever. Hey, listen, we really ran out of time, and I don't want my people to be sitting here waiting for me. Let's
Oh,
do
no.
this again really soon, okay?
Yeah. I'm here. It's almost the weekend. Easter is upon us. I shaved so I look more like the Easter Bunny.
Yeah, yeah.
It's all good.
Happy Easter.
Same to you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Chuck Farnham.
Bye, kids.
Now, in its 12th year, this is GabNet. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Okay, thank you very much, Chuck. Sorry, folks, if there was a little bit of a problem there that you had to deal with. I was trying to work on something else here, and it accidentally started the opening over again, and then I ran that, and then I had to move it forward, and then when I moved it forward, it froze. Oh, forget it. Anyway, you got the whole interview, all right? Okay? Leave me alone. Okay. Anyway, you know something, if it isn't one thing, it's another, you know? I'm just getting too, about all this. Anyway, let me see here. Who do we have here? Oh, we have some people waiting to talk to us. I guess we can do it, you know. Here they are. Let's see here. Admit all. And then I can do this, you see. And there's Charlie. And there is Len LaFrisco, ladies and gentlemen. And Kevin is about to join us. There he is. How are you all, folks?
Doing great.
Oh, you all sound excited.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, Pam Bondi's gone.
Yeah. So good. It'll be replaced by Trump's lawyer. You know.
Yeah.
Just,
They picked somebody already? Okay, I hadn't heard that.
yeah. You know. Come on. Pam Bondi's gone. At least you know what you had with Pam Bondi.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
You know what you got with Tom Blanche, too.
Yeah. Yeah. Todd. What's his name? Todd Blanche.
Todd Blanche.
Yeah.
He picked Todd Blanche?
That's who.
Yeah, he's his personal lawyer from back in the
Yeah,
first term.
that'll work out great.
Yeah,
What?
it's just like an Iran regime change. Shut the shit.
Iran regime change. Okay.
Yeah, one piece of shit to another piece of shit.
Yeah. Right. Okay. All righty.
And they shake on it without washing their hands.
Yeah,
What does that mean? I don't get that.
I don't. You wash your hands after you use the bathroom, one piece of shit to another.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay.
I don't.
Anyway. So I'm sorry if any of you were trying to listen to that interview, although probably you weren't. I'm sure Alan wasn't.
I was.
You were.
I heard it. Then the beginning came on with no sound, and then it went off, and then you finished the show.
Yeah.
It came back on with no sound. We had sound.
I had sound.
I didn't have sound.
Yeah.
It started all over at the beginning.
Well, you don't know how to run computers, so that's your
That's
problem.
obvious.
Yeah.
You know?
Hey, Len, how you doing tonight?
Good. Figured I'd stop in and say hi, see how you guys are doing.
Yeah. Is your wife is home now? Or?
She's back. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
Watching a little TV. I figured. I said, you know what? Would you mind if I go talk to the guys? And she's like, nah, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, we spent part of our day watching what we thought was the last episode of this year's Pit, but it turns out it isn't. Turns out there are 3 more coming. We're just used to watching them all together, and now, of course, they're not doing that anymore. So,
Is that a good one?
but the Pit?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a great show. It's a great show.
What platform?
HBO Max.
I don't have that one.
Well,
don't have that kind of money.
it is certainly I think one of the best
Check.
computer shows, not computer shows, but hospital
Yeah.
shows that I've ever
Hospital,
seen.
okay.
It's really that good. They say it's probably the most realistic show about hospital and an emergency room and what they go through.
I can't even imagine anybody wanting to do that.
Well, I certainly don't. What do you
Did
say?
you? Yeah. Hell yeah.
No, I was gonna, before I became a police officer, I was in training to go to medical school.
Can you imagine him being
And
your
do-
doctor?
And,
Yes.
and
Let me
do
die.
And do emergency medicine because you never know what's coming through the door. And then somebody
Yeah.
talked me into, while I was in school, in college, somebody talked me into becoming a police officer, and it's the same thing. You never know what's going to come in the door, although you drive to the door.
Right.
So-
At least you have a
Well,
gun.
the thing is, the thing that's interesting about this show is you really get a feeling for doctors in an emergency room and what they have to go through. But I would say if I were a doctor, I would want to go and work in an emergency room for about a year
Yeah.
because it's a crash course in medicine, okay?
Everything.
But after that, I don't need no goddamn crash course, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. You could test people like Brian, you know. He's a good
Well, he can glue you up from the inside, so.
That's right.
That's right.
You do the cut, Alex, and then Brian glues you up.
Yeah, yeah. And then we were watching a show. We watched the whole series today of Broadway, which was a show about obviously
Broadway.
the history of Broadway, and it's amazing. If you ever get to see it, it's on YouTube right now. You can probably lay your hands on YouTube. Just type in Broadway, and you know, and it is something I came up with. You know, maybe this is just me being old, but I've always been. What are you nodding yes already for? Maybe it's because I'm old, but I just, I always am very fascinated by that which went on before I was born. So I've always been interested in that. And when they showed the show on the history of Broadway, I said to myself after it was over, kids today are really losing a lot because entertainment was much better back then.
Oh no, entertainment started January 20th, 2025, all over.
Yeah, right. But I mean, it's
I
a
think
good
you're
show.
right, though.
Yeah, no,
I think- yeah.
when I think about all those great Broadway performers, and it's just it's amazing. And I came too late for it, but I didn't come too late for it in that I have things like YouTube and PBS and things like that to go back and visit that time and to enjoy what happened back then. And I feel sorry for the kids today, I'm sorry.
Fuck 'em.
Fuck them, right.
That's what
Fuck
Donald
'em,
Trump
Adrian.
did, too.
Adrian, fuck you guys.
That's what Donald Trump did, too.
Is she there?
No, she's not there.
Oh, okay.
Kidding. He would never talk
She'll be here.
about that.
She'll be here tomorrow night. I'm sure.
If my
she'll
father
be-
had told me to go fuck myself when I was a kid, I think I would have been traumatized.
she would be. I think.
Dad told me that all the time.
Well,
Really?
I've
I've only-
seen that with you.
I've only got mad at her a couple times, and she's been in shock when I get.
Well,
mad at her, so.
my parents never used any curse words at all. I don't know if they use them. If that was part of their lexicon.
Your parents wouldn't cuss. My parents would cuss, but they wouldn't hit us for punishment or anything.
My father never hit me either.
No.
They didn't believe in spanking.
No,
And I'm the perfect product of that.
Did your parents hit you, Jeff, when you were a kid?
No.
Maybe it's a Jewish thing.
I might, but maybe.
How about the rest of
My
you?
dad hit me a lot.
Did he really?
Yeah,
With his hand or with a belt?
with the belt.
What?
With the belt.
And did that hurt?
But he didn't use the buckle. No,
No, he didn't.
but it did hurt and it did leave marks.
Really?
My fourth
Oh,
grade
yeah.
teacher.
And that's
my
why
fourth
we
grade
have
teacher-
never,
What?
we've never whipped our kids. We never. They've only been.
Well,
disciplined.
part of the reason was my father was German. And when he wanted to yell at me, that was worse than hitting me. I mean,
My
it
dad
really
did
was
both.
scary.
And he was German.
Huh?
My dad did both, and he was German.
Oh, okay. He did both. Well, he was.
Yeah, he had a slab of oak, and he called it the Board of Education. And it sat right next to his knife and fork at the dinner table.
Wow.
We had that
Really?
before.
How about you, Len? Parents spank you?
Yeah, somewhat. Not an incredible amount because I was such a good guy that they didn't have to do it that often. But my fourth grade teacher, though, had a paddle. So that's, think about corporal punishment at
yeah.
school.
Yeah,
that's
we had
right.
it in our Catholic school.
Well, in
right.
this day and age,
Yeah, Catholic school's the worst.
well, in this day and age, if a teacher spanks a kid, they're going to have to deal with the father who's going to beat the crap out of the teacher.
It'd be a drive-by.
I had a vice principal in elementary school that you'd go to see him when you did something wrong, and they'd make you pull your pants down, pervert, and then he'd paddle your bare
What school did you
ass.
go to?
Paddle your bare ass. Then he ends
From
up in my
school.
junior high and they were still paddling kids in junior high. And I was sent to his office, and he says, well, we had our talk. Now assume the position. I took the paddle away from him and ran it into his testicles, and that was the last time he ever threatened to paddle me.
Oh my God.
Really? And they didn't?
I got suspended for 3 days. My father went to the school district and threatened to sue him.
Good for you. Good for him. Yeah.
That ended that, and they stopped about 6 months later paddling kids in junior high.
Now, you said, Brian, did you say you got spanked?
A lot.
Me?
Yeah.
Kevin. Me?
Don't confuse me, okay?
Me?
Who are you
No.
talking to?
Brian.
No. No, I never really got sent to my room, but but my mom passed away when I was 13, so she didn't see the worst of me, I guess. But when I was young, I don't remember.
Well, you were raised by
I
your
remember
father. You were raised by
going to
your
the room.
father, weren't you?
Huh?
You were raised by your father?
No, I was raised by myself.
Oh,
My stepfather adopted me, but then he took off with his girlfriends all the time, so I never saw him. I see him like once a month. He'd yell at me, and
Oh, wait a minute. Your father died. Did you say-
no. So my mom
your
and I
mother
got
died.
divorced
Your mother
when I
died.
was 3. Yeah, my mom died when I was in her custody. So
Yeah.
but yeah, I just remember being sent to my room. I remember a couple times being sent to my room, but I don't think she ever came.
Then you stayed there forever because the father didn't come home.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wait till your father gets home. Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah.
And Jeff, you
But,
said you were never spanked, right?
Only by my mother, occasionally. And it was not,
Yeah, moms can't really spank very
It
well.
was
Did
usually
they stop
moms.
that when you were between high school and college, or no?
nah.
I challenged my dad one time.
Did you really?
One time. And he had Popeye arms. He had Popeye arms. And I went after him. I was probably freshman, maybe.
Yeah.
And I went after him, and he went like this, and he held me up. And
No.
he says, "What are you going to do about it?" And I said, "Nothing."
Well, when I was about 16, 17, I hit my father. I got really mad, and I hit my father, and I feel guilty to this day for it.
Yeah, I mean, I still remember that like it was yesterday.
Well, what happens is when you reach 16, 17, you sometimes are just, you're in a crazy...
You become a little asshole.
You become little assholes. Yeah, I was a little asshole.
Yeah, I was too.
And and he didn't do anything to initiate it or anything like that. I just went crazy.
Yeah. It wasn't like it wasn't deserved. I mean, there was sometimes it felt like it wasn't, but most of the time. you
Well, at that
deserved it.
age, you're kind of really into trying to get your life together.
Yeah. And I went through it with my kids.
The trouble is hitting your father.
Except that I never hit them or anything. They just, when they get out of hand, they'd, get a good talking to and shoved in a
Well,
room kind of thing, but
what my father did, he
I
would
didn't do
yell.
anything.
He would, as I said, he would yell at me, and that would bother me a great deal because the worst thing I wanted to do was disappoint my father. So that if he yelled at me, I had disappointed him. So that was, but I don't think my parents ever spanked me. That was never a thing I had to worry about. disappointing them was. But I think maybe that's being Jewish, because a Jewish family makes guilt a major
Absolutely.
commodity.
Catholics are pretty good at it too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. What were you going to say, Jeff?
Anyway,
Well, I remember one time when my father was so angry about me, so he punched the wall with his own fist. And
hit the wall with his belt.
I was a little terrified by that. And then he had to fix the floor.
With the wall. Yeah.
Was this the time you stole the car? Oh no.
No,
I've never hit. I think I hit her hand sometimes when she was really young, but I've never. I've yelled at her and it scared her, and then I noticed I scared her so much. Then I sort of calmed down a little bit. She just like this week. This week we get to her house and I forgot. It's my fault. I forgot her uniform at my house, so we had to come back, drive back here, then go to her game. And she brought soup in the car, and of course, when I take the corner, I was so mad. She spilled the soup, the pho.
Yeah.
And now my car smells like soup, but I was like really mad, and she looked up, and I sort of calmed down pretty quick. But
Wow.
yeah, I think it's not worth it to hit. I mean, I'd rather I think because I've managed so many people.
Well, my father, as I say,
was
was German, and he could yell.
I bet.
Yeah.
I would
My
bet.
dad yelled at me in German.
Yeah.
Most.
He yelled, "Mach schnell."
No.
Yeah, most black kids that I knew my age, their parents hit them with a belt. So I think all these different things are different, different ways of being
You think
raised.
it's cultural?
Well, I
Yeah.
don't like the hypocrisy.
Yeah,
My father cursed like a sailor, but if my brother and I curse, he beat the crap out of me.
exactly. That's the Catholic way.
Well, that's why your father made a big mistake by not being an example.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I respected my father so much that I didn't want to disappoint him. So if he got mad at me, I knew I was disappointing him, and that was the worst thing I could possibly do. You know what I'm talking about, Len?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I mean,
Did you have kids, right?
yeah, just one.
No, did you ever
Yeah.
spank them?
No, a little swat on the back side.
A little swat pretending like you're hitting them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, never anything serious. I can't do that.
I do remember being at the babysitter. My parents dropped me off at the babysitter a lot. I do remember being at the babysitter one time and I was really bad and she got a belt and she was hitting me and I was pretending that it hurt, but it didn't hurt at all.
Well, the worst
I
thing was
still have my
that
pants on. I don't think I have my pants off. But I remember she was like hitting me and I was like, oh man, if
I were a
don't say
parent,
something-
I
the
though
worst
would-
thing you can do is laugh at it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Don't do that.
Yeah.
That's when my mom picked up a broomstick and launched it down the
If
stairway.
I had a
and
kid,
it went into the door and stuck in the door. Missed me.
well, if I had a kid,
And she put
and-
one of those
yeah.
laughing flowers over it.
Yeah. If I had a kid and I had a babysitter who spanked my kid, she'd never work for me again, or he would never
Yeah.
work for me again.
Right.
You
We were
know,
always clear on that.
the only person that's going to discipline my child is me,
Right.
and I'm going to do it in my own way.
Yeah, but I was probably doing something bad anyway, so it's like
Well, that's your assumption.
You would probably make your kid listen to 4 hours or something of Howard Stern talking.
No, I'd have him listen to my shows.
Cabinet.
Yeah, that would be
life in the passing lane over and over. That'd be
Yeah.
waterboarding.
Yeah, listen to Life in the Passing Lane over and over again. And you think your life is bad.
My best friend's father used to paddle him, and I don't know, he didn't go to church, he wasn't Jewish or anything like that. They would, when he did things wrong, and they'd use a belt and stuff. And one day we were home from doing homework in high school, and the police came and knocked on the door and arrested his father because his father used to get erections when he would beat his kids, and one of his daughters
Oh,
turned him into the
Jesus.
police.
Oh.
He would get
Yeah, I mean,
erections.
we were like freaked out. I mean, You know, I know people get kinky later in life, but with your own kids, please.
Yeah, no, that's right. Not right. It's not right. But anyway, you know, I never, well, I never had any kids, so I don't know what I would have done. But I think I would have just yelled at them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they if they love you enough, but I don't know. When she gets older, maybe then that won't work anymore.
Yeah.
Well, this is going to be.
It gets
Listen,
tougher, but it does work.
You have not gotten to the point in your relationship with Adrian where she's going through adolescence.
I know, but I keep
Just
telling
wait.
her. I tell you, promise me you're going to be nice to me, push me around in a wheelchair when I'm older. She says, "Oh yes, Daddy."
Yeah, but that's
Yeah.
now.
So
you
mine
know.
said too.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
kids said that too. I wouldn't count on it.
I'm out of
You know,
size
you
something.
had you had girls, didn't you, Kevin?
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
two.
Tell him what he has to expect in the next couple
I don't
of years.
want to. I don't want to ruin his life.
That's right.
I'll just half of the problems.
Yeah.
Call me
Yeah.
anytime you want. I'll tell you.
I think the first thing that is the most disappointing thing for the father is or a mother is when you take them to school and they want you for the first time to leave them off a block away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With you.
Yeah.
Yeah. That how did you get over that one? How long did that take for you to get over?
I'm still working with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not while you drive a cool car.
That's right.
No, I don't think that counts sometimes. I'll tell you. It's amazing. They
No.
don't care.
You know, they don't
have
care.
these-
They don't want their friends to think that they're, you know.
They have these like pranks that the dads do when they pick up the kids, and they're like blasting, like
Yeah.
like
Yeah, but that doesn't last. I'm telling you, it doesn't last.
Yeah.
Did I think you said at one time, Brian, when Adrian didn't want to be dropped off in the McLaren.
No, that was Simon. Simon hated that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Simon. I would never hit. Well, we get in some arguments sometimes, but I always would tickle him because he would pee his pants when he tickled, and then he would be more mad,
Humiliated,
so
yeah.
mad. Yeah,
Yeah.
He's probably planning your death right now.
Right.
Yeah, but 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 you never hit him, right? Because he's
Oh, no,
he's
no,
not
no, I
your
never
he's
hit
not
him.
your he's
No.
not your kid. He's
yeah.
you know.
He and I got in because he hit. Well, I guess I think he slapped his mom at one time, and then I heard it, and then I got in his face, like right. His face was in my chest because he's tall, but. And so I said, "Do you want to do that to me?" You know, and he's shriveled up pretty quick. So
And then you were getting into that stepdad territory where you don't touch my kid, right?
oh yeah, no, I know,
Because I
know,
had that with
but-
my wife too.
Yeah, and that's I always told Simon, I will never hit you, but I will tickle you, and that's even worse than hitting you.
Well,
Yeah. Well, that's good that you had that kind of situation with him.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would have done. I've never had kids, so I can't answer that question. You know,
they don't come with manuals.
they don't
No,
come
they
with
don't.
manuals. That's right. You know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wonder whether I would have been a good father or a bad father. I think I probably would have been a pretty good father.
It'd have been fine.
I think so.
You know, I hear
As-
that something profound happens when you have a kid.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not all about you anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? It's still about me.
Yeah.
Now your daughter goes to school and says, "You hear that? Daddy's on the radio."
Right.
You know.
Yeah, that would have been odd. Yeah.
Well, I don't know how far my career would have gone if I had had kids.
Yeah.
You know, because then you start worrying about, you know, when you, I quit jobs, okay? I've walked into the boss and said, screw it, I don't need this radio station anymore. Goodbye. All right? I've done that. I would have never done that if I had kids at home.
Right.
Yep.
And so the choices I would have made for my career would have probably been a great deal different. than
Yeah, and
than
then
they
you
were.
wouldn't want to be moving around the country all the time with your
Well,
kids and,
also, yes. I mean, my business, you move from station to station. I think that what I would have wanted to do, I would have settled for a job where that was the only station I had to go to, you know.
right.
And I probably, you know, if I were like I was in, say, Chicago, and I got a call from New York and they wanted me to go to work there, I'd have to think about it. I couldn't necessarily jump at it. You know?
Because it wouldn't just influence you; it would. I mean, not influence, affect you.
The
It
only
would
person who
affect
was
your
going to
whole
be
family.
affected was my wife at the time, and she would be happy to go wherever I went. You know.
But not your daughter, because she's 14 or something like that, and she's got all these
Yeah.
friends that she's developed, and now she's going to leave all.
Yeah.
Well,
that.
even if she isn't old, if she's just a child, you know, I mean, it's
I
still.
moved around.
Hmm?
Yeah, I moved around an awful lot when I was a kid. I went to first, second, and third grade in one school, fourth, fifth, and sixth in another, seventh in another, eighth in another, ninth in another, 10th in another, 11th and 12th in another. So
Wow.
I have friends all over the country,
Yeah,
but I
wow.
also it completely changed me. I was a very quiet wallflower type, but I had
So
to put myself out
your
there.
father was in the military?
Witness protection program.
Okay.
Len kept getting kicked out of schools.
Oh,
A friend of mine's
Yeah,
dad
that's
was
what it was. He was actually in the bakery business, believe it or not.
a friend of mine's dad was in the Secret Service, and he was all over the country.
Oh, yeah.
That's how I met
Really?
him, as he came out to the West Side and worked out
Wow.
here for a few years.
Yeah, it was
He was
it's
all
tough
over the
when you're young, moving around because you just make friends and all of a sudden you're leaving them, you know.
Yep.
And,
It never
but I
happened
still
to
have
me.
those friends. Now I'm odd in that way that I keep in touch with people like that.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
we moved, but I always went to the same Catholic school, so I just took the bus or the L trains.
Mm,
Well, you know, I mean, I moved around quite a bit, and so the kid would have had to move with me. You know,
yeah.
And did you guys walk to school?
I took my bicycle to school.
Yeah. How old?
Yeah.
These kids nowadays, man, you can't.
17.
Well, when I was
Can't let 'em.
when I was a
Yeah,
kid,
exactly.
when I was a kid, parents
Well,
didn't worry about their kids being
No.
out.
Yeah.
Okay, I walked a mile to the movies, down to the theater in San Anselmo, and I would, I just walk down and walk back. You know, maybe sometimes a little later, when I got out, it was dark, and whatever. My parents weren't worried about me.
Yeah.
You know, the
Well,
line you would hear in those days from parents was, "Be home by dinner."
Yeah.
Yeah, or when the street lights come on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. If you're gonna be late, let me know.
Right.
Right.
But that meant going into
Trying to find a payphone in those days.
yeah. Right.
Well, I sent up smoke signals in my time.
Oh,
So
okay. Yeah.
When I was in fourth grade, I had to ride 2 buses to get to school. I was 8 years old. I was riding.
Oh
Wow.
my!
to get to
See? Yeah.
but
Wow,
parents didn't
really?
worry about their kids. They really didn't
Did
worry
you
about
hide a
them.
gun in each bus? Oh,
Jesus.
But
Was it
Charlie,
like an
Charlie,
inner
I gotta ask, was that because you were black and they were transferring you to different school, or what? Was
No,
that just?
no.
It was just the
Because
transit.
My dad would move to a different house, different neighborhood or whatever.
Oh, okay.
well, your
Oh, it
father
didn't
was
change
a
your
doctor,
school.
right?
Because
Yeah,
that was.
we were going to a Catholic school, so we didn't want to go to public school. They didn't want me to go to public school, so we
Yeah.
Yeah,
we
probably
stayed
better off.
with the same one.
Yeah.
Wow.
The reason I ask is because that happened when I was going to school. I mean, we used to bus people from San Mateo,
Oh yeah.
which is right
Yeah.
next door.
Before
And then
buses.
here comes the black bus.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. When
Mhm.
I went to San Carlos High School, which is up on the hill,
Yeah.
and that area was all white people.
Oh,
and I remember
that's where I
there'd be a
lived.
bus coming up with all the people from East Palo Alto.
Yep.
Yeah,
Bus
we
there
were-
from
Wow.
Ravenswood. Yeah.
Wow.
When I was working for the city, Halloween would come along, and all the people from East Palo Alto and stuff would come across the Dumbarton Bridge to Fremont to get candy and maybe
Yeah.
break into a few cars and stuff. But you know, we would see a lot of all of a sudden, a lot of black kids or inner city youth or whatever you want to call them here, not necessarily black, sometimes Latino, that lived in East Palo Alto because they weren't giving out candy there. But here they'd come to nice people, give them nice candy and stuff like that. And then the kid's a kid. I mean, you don't. Yeah, well, maybe in some places they denied it because you were black, but
Shit, they went the wrong way. They should have gone over to Palo Alto and up in the hills.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Across 101. There you go.
Over
Yeah, really.
Stanford.
Yep.
Yeah.
But then my parents got me a bicycle, and I used to ride my bike to the movie theater. And you could leave the bike outside of the movie theater and
yeah.
it'd be there when you got back.
Not
No
my age.
lock
Lock it
needed.
up, just lean
Huh?
it against the tree or something. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have any lock on my bike, and then but I got a bike and I took it to school every day, and there was a bike rack at the school, but you didn't lock it,
If
so-
somebody did take it, it usually was one of your friends, and you could say, hey, you go get it back.
yeah, right.
Right.
So anyway,
That was the big thing, is getting
Yeah.
a bike, because you were free then, It's like
You
getting a
know,
car.
I always figured they made girls' bikes and boys' bikes in the wrong configuration.
No kidding.
Because it's inevitable when you're a boy and you're on one of these little stingrays that you want to go faster. And so you stand on the pedals and a foot slips off. And it would be nice if that middle bar was a lot lower.
Yeah.
And then
I
if you had brakes that you had to reverse the pedals, you weren't going to stop until you slammed into the curb. And then you slid down the bar and hit your groin.
Yeah, I know. But let's talk logic for a second here. Why is it there were boys and girls' bikes? Why couldn't they all be the same?
Because girls would wear dresses and they
Correct.
couldn't step over the big.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so why didn't you make boys' bikes exactly the same way? What was the difference?
That's a good point.
Was there
Because
anything
we
that as a
draw this
boy
on
you
the-
needed that main bar for?
Or
to
we beat them up
hit-
more
hit-
because we used to put them through jumps and make jumps
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
them and everything else.
Or you
Jump off
used to
picnic
do
tables.
that.
Picnic tables, jump
Yeah.
over cars, jump over our
fast.
friends.
And then
I
after
flew
you
over
drop after you drop your 120-pound body onto this little bar, and stuff like that, and the rest of the day your testicles are hurting from the
You know what's strange? What's
you
strange?
swear you'll never get up on the pedals and do that again. And 3 weeks later,
We're talking about this, but as we talk about this, I've noticed that the numbers are quite low here. They've gone down.
let's go back to medical
Bad
stuff.
memories.
Yep.
Bad memories.
No,
I
nobody
was-
wants
I
to
was-
hear about, when I was a kid, I rode my bike to school.
I flew over the handlebars going down a steep hill up in
Oh,
Redwood City
yeah.
Hills. I
Just
hit the
once?
brakes. It was my friend's bike. I hit the brakes and it went forward, and I launched. And I hit the pavement with my nose.
Oh,
the doctor
boy.
looked at me and said, "You have no marks on your hands."
Oh,
I said,
shoot.
"Well, it's Italian nose, so I guess it's pretty strong."
I use my nose as a brake. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, I never had a major accident, I think, with my bike. I'm trying to remember.
Tons
No,
of them. Tons of them.
Huh?
Yeah.
Really?
Oh
Yep.
yeah.
I mean, I'd fall off of it occasionally or something like that, but I'm talking about nothing like what
I
happened
used to mess with my bike. I'd add, cut forks off another bike and add them on, so you'd have this big long chopper.
Yeah.
You couldn't control the son of a bitch. Then you go up to Hillsboro and try and drive down through Hillsboro.
Oh, hill. A
Yeah.
hill with the chopper forks on a bicycle.
There ain't
You're
no
talking about
way.
a death sentence.
Well, I used to have to, I lived up a hill.
Yeah.
And coming down, I could just make real good time going to school. But coming back, minute I hit that hill, I'm sorry, I had to walk it up the hill.
Summit Road, Hillsboro,
Yeah, I mean, I had to walk it up. I couldn't.
or Ralston.
And I had one of those.
in
At the
Ralston,
time, I had an Indian bike, which was made in England, and it was a sports bike, and it was the first time you ever saw them in America. In fact, kids made fun of me because I had a sissy bike, they thought.
Yeah. I got handed down my sister's purple bike.
Oh,
And
geez.
the guys, you have the bar.
Yeah, well, we were talking about that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
How many
And so
of you can actually
they used
ride
to
a
make-
bike today?
How many can ride a bike today? Oh, he
Well,
can.
actually, they have a bike.
I'd love to, but I
right in
can't.
front, I ride it to work most days.
Nice.
I
You
don't think
have
I could
bad
ride a
knees
bike.
like we do, Bree. Wait
What?
till wait another 30 years when you're our age, and you end up with bad knees, and then try and ride a bike.
But
My
here's the funny
cardiologist
thing.
said, don't ride on your bike anymore.
Really?
You know, a stationary bike, that's okay.
There
You know,
you go.
nowadays kids have to wear helmets. There were no
Yeah.
helmets
Oh, yeah.
made for
There
bicycles
were no.
when we were kids.
Nobody even thought about helmets back then.
No.
Well, I told
Nah,
everybody
you
in
would
the
be
old days
laughed.
that I did buy a stationary bike. It wasn't meant to be that way, but
Well,
Ba-dum-bum.
one caveat to the helmet thing.
mhm.
I live near a place called South Park, which exists in real life. And the BMX riders, the BMX racetrack, they had, sort of like helmets. But what was funny, I'll tell you, is one day I went up there with my bike and they laughed at me. And I said, let's go. I beat their butts. I was so much faster on my sister's little bike because I rode it every day. It was like my skin. And I rode it up and down hills. I crashed on it. I tried to over dead trees, over ice on ponds. I did everything. And I remember the satisfaction of beating them and at the end, sitting there like, what took you so long? Going over their little track with their little bumps, and that's all they ever had to do. They were never in the woods. They were never on a pothole-filled street. They had the perfect bikes that cost $1 million. They had their little helmets. They always were around this track. Their mom and dad brought them there. They didn't have to ride their bike there. They were brought in a car. So I always enjoyed that.
Well, I hate to say this, but anyway, you were still riding a girl's bike.
Yeah.
I was.
You know.
But whoever designed the bikes and decided one would be girls and one would be boys, that top bar gives you more stability when you're jumping hills and stuff like that, probably, which girls usually don't do the BMX stuff and stuff like that. But for just daily riding, I would have rather had a girl's bike. It's a lot less dangerous.
There was this guy who owned the Vermont Teddy Bear Company, and I did a lot of advertising for him on my show, as you guys know. And
Yes, I know. I got boxes of them because of you.
really, anyway, he then sold the Vermont Teddy Bear Company. And the next thing he did was he started a bike company. But what he did is he turned out these old balloon tire bikes, kind of like the old Schwinn's were, And he sent me one. And I'm got to tell you, I mean, it was a fun little bike, but it was hard to pedal and everything. And he finally went out of business. But he felt maybe he wanted to go back to one of those old standard, bikes, because everybody remembers the Schwinn's. They had tires this thick, and
Well, they do have cruisers now. They call them cruisers, and they're expensive as hell. But they're 1 speeds, and you ride them on the flat land, and that's.
This was a 1 speed too. Yeah. But I had a bike stolen, and then I got another bike, and it wasn't as good as the old bike, and I stopped riding that bike. So
My first job was building brand new bicycles, most of them Raleighs.
Raleighs,
I did in
yes,
high school.
Raleighs were.
Yeah, that's the one I had.
Yeah, I had.
Well, Raleighs
I
were
built so many Raleigh bikes in high school. I worked for the shop right across.
What I
from
liked is when you got to high school, they started putting this thin foam that was wrapped with a piece of material that would snap onto that bar in the middle. Like, that's gonna protect you.
That was a Nard guard.
Yeah, right.
Nard.
Yeah.
Well,
You would call that a Nard guard.
what I had
was you still land on it, it still hurts.
What I had was a British bicycle, which everybody will know what I'm talking about because it was called an Indian.
Yep.
And it was made by the Indian Bike Company, the same people that make the motorcycles.
Motorcycle.
And that's what my parents bought me.
Are those
And that was the
still
one
around?
all the kids kid me about, you
You know how
know.
much they're worth now?
Yeah.
Do they still make them?
How much are
Do
they
they make
worth?
the motorcycles?
Huh?
Yeah.
Do they still make them?
Yeah, they make the motorcycles.
Yeah.
They're made by Harley Davidson, aren't they? or
No,
something
no,
like that?
no, no.
No.
They're competition. They're big competition with Harley. We had both dealers. In
Yeah, but you're talking about just the bikes.
Correct. No, talk about the motorcycles. not
Oh,
bikes.
okay.
The bikes, I don't know if they still make them, but they'd be worth some money. Just like the
Yeah.
Stingrays that they used to put out, the orange crate and the lemon crate and the apple crate, all those Stingrays that Schwinn put out with the banana seat
Yep.
and the shock in the front,
Oh,
and
yeah.
the shifter on the gonad bar. You know,
Yep.
they those things are worth thousands of dollars if they're in good shape right now.
Really?
Yeah,
Mine was
especially
a
the
Huffy.
orange and apple crates.
Yeah, mine was a Huffy.
My son,
Yeah, Huffy's.
Yeah, I had a Huffy too, Huffy 10-speed.
my son
That's when you
lives
couldn't
When I
afford
got
Schwinn.
down,
and he goes to Manhattan on his bike every day for work.
Jeez.
And he brings a bag behind the,
Yeah.
so he can get to work and change his clothes.
Well, how far did, wait a minute, how far does he have to drive to Manhattan?
From Brooklyn to,
Oh, from Brooklyn to Manhattan. Okay.
yeah,
Wow.
Yeah.
over the bridges.
Well,
Yeah, they work better than trying to pedal in water.
yeah, what, well, it's nice having thinking about the past.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All the,
Yeah, like the Obama administration, you mean?
well, the funny part is about guys, we're a bunch of guys here, and all of us, I imagine, at one time or another, had a bicycle. Oh, there we go.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Look at that nice floor. Oh, we're looking at the bicycle. I'm sorry.
Is that
Oh, cool.
is that a motorized bike?
The neat
it is. It has the ability
can
to
see
have
it.
the electric.
Oh, okay. But you can also pedal it too?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, actually, when I lived in Singapore, that was a requirement. You have to be able to pedal it, or it's illegal.
Well, that's, oh, that's
In
big.
California is the same way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, is
I
that
think so.
gas or electric?
mine's electric,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
and I also have some days I'll ride this.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I suppose you probably wear your teeth guard. I've seen so many kids go flying over those things.
Yeah.
Front tire or whatever it is hits a something in the road.
No, the guys who fly around are the ones with those one wheels and the little board. You know,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like the surfing.
Oh,
Those
yeah.
guys go flying through traffic.
They
Crazy.
do.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, so I want you to know that Len up there is my travel agent.
Oh yeah, Len, we got to talk later.
Yeah, yeah, I'm actually I'm doing really well. I'm actually gonna hang out a shingle, I think, and put in a Facebook page. I'm building a logo right now. I think I'm really gonna do it.
great idea.
Awesome.
Well, why not? You seem to enjoy it.
I do enjoy it. I
From
do.
home?
And
You know, I mean,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and in fact, if you can put up with me, you can put up with anybody.
oh, trust me, I know that. I've got
Well
you. Your trip is going to be absolutely amazing. From door to door, you're not going to have to think about anything. You know,
Yes.
so
Yeah, some girl we were just talking. She says she's going on a Viking cruise in there. She was supposed to go. I think she just canceled one of her trips because of the war going on. But I'd like to go to New York. Len, can you set that up when Alex is not there, and I'll stay at his place.
I have Alex's credit card number too, so I'll have him pay for it.
Yeah, first class, please.
But no, he's good. He's good. He's really good. You know, normally
How hard is it to call an airline and say I need two
You know,
first class
I
tickets
hate
for
it.
Alex?
It's tough.
Yeah,
You haven't done it. You can do it.
A lot of people don't like doing it. Number one. Number two is a travel agent can get some perks for things that you
Oh,
can't
yeah.
normally get.
And when you're underway, you
Yeah.
don't want to deal with stuff. You want to call someone and say, "Hey, this happened. What can you fix it?" You know.
yeah. And that's when I don't answer the phone, but that's a whole separate.
Right.
But you know, it's been
Len's
fun.
travel agency. I can see.
Yeah.
it.
Get your vacations in now before the world ends.
Yeah, well, we're going on one in
You
about
know?
6 weeks.
Oh, listen, I want to ask a favor
years
of Charlie and or Alan, okay? Because you called the intersection with Amy. Last night, her audio was doubled over.
Yes.
Did you know what I'm talking about? You were trying to listen to it, right, Jeff? Okay.
I listened to it, and it was like a double.
Yeah.
Well, so I turned it off.
So today she said to me, "Well, nobody called me to tell me," and I went, "Well, I don't like to call her while she's on the air."
It doesn't bother her to call you while you're on the air.
Well, anyway, here's my point. Would either of you guys during the show just check the audio to make sure it's okay? So if it isn't, you can tell her.
I didn't have any problem with the audio last night.
No,
Well,
he
it's
means
fun.
listening.
No, you weren't. You weren't listening to the.
If you listen to Gabnet,
Wait a minute,
Gabnet.
what? If you listen to Gabnet,
Yeah.
you would have heard it.
Okay.
Yeah, all I do is listen to it. I don't want to participate in it because it's really my time to go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll listen to it as much as I can. And if it's weird,
Well, we have a somebody that comes on the show once in a while that lives in Cleveland, and he says I listen to the Ramble, and then I usually can make it to Amy's show if the Ramble doesn't put me to sleep.
Oh.
Would you like give me the name and address of that guy?
Yeah.
I have it actually. He's a great guy, but I'm like, well, why don't you just turn it off? He's probably listening right now and going, God damn him.
Yeah, but I just asking if you check on that for me because I don't listen every night myself either. I don't have time to do it because I'm busy posting the shows and stuff like that.
Okay.
So if you.
You stay up pretty late, don't you? What time do you go to bed?
I'm going to bed now shortly after I post Amy's show. Then I make sure she gets posted, and then I hit the sack. So I'm asleep by the latest 1:30, the very latest.
It's very late, though. Really.
Well, not really.
I'm in bed before you, and I'm 3 hours earlier.
Same here.
Really? Oh, okay.
Between 10 and
Well, what time do you go to bed, Kevin?
Anywhere around between 9:30 and 10:30.
Wow. Wow.
Wow. Oh, AM. I'm sorry.
And
try to go to bed at
Len,
10.
when do you go to sleep?
Who?
Len.
Yeah, I'm 10 to 10:30. Yeah.
Same here.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Boy.
What am I staying up so?
5:30 for work. 5:30.
Yeah,
for
I got to
work.
get up at the
Yeah.
crack of 8:30 in the morning. What are you
Pee
doing?
3 times and get up for work. Come on.
Right.
Gosh, I've got to. Well, anyway, I'll figure it out later.
Yeah, same hours as Trump, I think.
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
Jesus.
Well, no, his hours are every hour.
You're not up at 4 o'clock in the morning tweeting shit.
Yeah.
Do you think he's tweeting that stuff, or do you think he just writes a whole bunch of stuff or dictates a whole bunch of stuff and then they just put it out overnight?
I picture him on the goddamn toilet,
Yeah.
typing that shit in. Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. That's right. Especially when he has those marathon ones where he's got 40 or 50 of them.
And they're just run-on sentences. It's just, oh my.
Oh, I think you're talking about marathon on the toilet stuff.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Wow.
Right.
He was talking shit about Bruce Springsteen today.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
what
my
is
God.
that? I didn't catch it. What was it?
Oh, I read it. It's beautiful.
He said that Bruce Springsteen said he was going to go on tour, and it was obviously going to be a political tour, and so he just got on there and started saying, "This guy sucks." And I go, "This is the guy that sings "Born in the USA." Hello.
Overrated. Come on.
Yeah, he says he sucks. He's a
hack.
stupid
Here's
hack.
what he said.
Nobody's
I'll
ever
read
liked
it
him.
I'll read it as quickly as possible.
Well, I'm trying
Dad
to.
and Okay.
Wait a minute. Well, go ahead, find it for us and read it.
I've got it. Already.
Okay, what does it say?
I'll read it as quick as possible. Bad and very boring singer Bruce Springsteen, who looks like a dried up prune, who has suffered greatly from the work of really bad plastic surgery, has long had a horrible, incurable case of Trump derangement syndrome, sometimes referred to as TDS. This guy is a total loser who spews hate against the president, who won in a landslide election, including a popular vote, all 7 swing states, and 86% of the counties across America. Under Sleepy Joe and the Democrats, the country was dead. And now we have the hottest country by far anywhere in the world. MAGA should boycott his overpriced concerts, which suck. Have your hard-earned money. America is back, President Donald J. Trump.
And his MAGA people are saying, who's Bruce Springsteen?
Probably, yeah, probably.
Yeah,
Can you believe that? I mean, what?
We have never had a president who would have time to do what he did.
This guy fired Pam Bondi today. Who's next?
Yeah.
Bruce Springsteen.
The chief of the army, top general.
Right, he fired
today.
But Pete Hegseth
No,
fired
he
him.
retired him.
Oh, retired him?
Yeah.
Yeah, he asked him.
Yeah.
This was the only guy that, some historian said this is the only guy that probably could solve the problem, for the U.S. Army, the military in Iran. So let's fire the guy. Let's tell the guy to go retire.
During the war.
During the
war.
By the way, let me ask Bree. Bree, how's the war? Oh, excuse me, the incursion. Or what's it called now? He called it something.
Excursion.
Excursion. You called it an excursion, but he called it one other thing too. Operation or whatever. How's it playing over there in Malaysia?
Well, the latest we've heard is that the Malaysian boats are allowed to pass through the strait for free. Iran will not charge Malaysia.
Okay.
So all of the boats here are going through and back, no problem. So,
So we need to just get a bunch of Malaysian flags and shit and put them on our boats.
Yeah, really.
they look the same. They look the same, so they better be careful.
Yeah.
Well, it was interesting last night in that what was it? Was it a speech? What was that stupid thing he did last
I
night?
don't know.
He kept saying, we don't need their oil.
Yeah.
He said, we've got plenty of oil.
Yeah, right.
And then he said, we don't buy their oil, which we don't actually,
Yeah.
and he said, but we don't need it. And then he said, the prices will go down soon. Well, the thing is, the prices are
2
up.
weeks.
Prices are up, so that's got to. I know what he said. He said we make enough oil in the United States to take care of ourselves. All right. Now, I don't know whether that's true or not. I think there's a certain amount of truth to that. But
we make
then he
enough, but we
doesn't
don't
say.
preserve it.
Yeah, but then he doesn't say anything about if we've got all that oil that we're making. Why is oil costing us so much? Why?
Well, because Iran bombed 2 of their own oil tankers. He said that in the thing.
That's what he said. Yeah.
Yep, he said Iran bombed 2 of their own oil tankers, and that's why prices are high.
So the prices are up here now.
But
and
if we've got all the oil we need because we got it
Mm-hmm.
Venezuela, okay, but that didn't come here. That's over in the Mideast somewhere. We sent.
And the oil that we produce doesn't come here.
Yeah, but all I'm saying is, how can you tell us that we've got all this oil and somehow it's not going in our tanks? So
Drill, baby, drill.
Prices went up in the Bay Area 20 cents a gallon today.
It's a global marketplace.
Yeah.
But if one of the greatest things that could come out of this would be, let's stop relying on fossil fuels for everything.
Yeah.
If that mindset can take place. Look, let's face facts. The problems with Iran began, I've always said it, with the oil and gas. It was the British company, might have been British Petroleum, I don't know. Iranians nationalized those fields. And they didn't initially offer any compensation. Later, under pressure, they were like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't have just taken them. Maybe we should.
Yeah.
And so they kicked all the Brits out, the only Americans, we were there, and the Brits said, "Hey, can you help us get rid of this guy?" And it was all oil and gas. If we don't rely on oil and gas, this would be a great thing.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I get what you're saying, and I think that electric is not a bad idea, but I don't think we're there yet. I think we need to have faster ways of getting the electricity into the car. We need to have a longer amount of run time on the batteries that we do have. I mean, all those things have to improve before we can say, okay, to hell with oil.
And we do realize that 50% or more of our electric generation is from fossil fuels. So even though it's not coming out of the tailpipe, it's still going in somebody's backyard at a coal-fired plant.
Don't you like where he bought out a wind farm on the East Coast?
Yeah.
For $1 billion to stop producing electricity.
He hates them. I don't know why.
What
there
a
are
stupid
cars.
move.
Because all you got to do, follow the money, okay?
Yeah, right.
Who's going to make money out of the fact that he doesn't like wind?
Yeah, I know.
You know, so, I mean...
It breaks wind.
Huh? He breaks wind.
The thing is, there are batteries that go a lot longer, and there are cars that charge faster, and all those cars are in China.
Yes.
Of course.
Okay. You know, but I mean, don't you agree that they probably should be faster? Is there any way they can make faster
Charging?
charging?
Absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah.
They are in China. Yes.
Sure.
Absolutely.
How fast can they charge in China?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, you know, all I'm saying,
But just think of your cell phone, Alex. When they first came out, they came out with this little block in the iPhone.
Yeah.
And that's considered a real slow charger at this point. Now they have, you know, these fast chargers like this that put out, you know, it's hard
60 watts.
Yeah, puts out 60 watts of power.
Well,
You know?
my phone charges in 20 minutes, maybe.
Yeah, my new 17. At 50%.
I've
I
got tons of
tested it the other day. In 22 minutes, it was full.
Yeah.
You know, and a friend of mine gave me one that is a 100-watt charger that
Oh.
you would use for a tablet, like you know, or like an iPad or a
That's my little station there.
you know, something like that.
There you
Look at that.
look at
That's
that.
just
Yeah.
one. I have one of many. I've got one over here at the base,
now Malaysia knows where all their power is going to.
and I've got
Yeah.
one. I got this over here. It runs everything. I can run right
Jeez.
directly.
He turns all that stuff on and the lights dim in the neighborhood.
Right.
And I've got one over here.
Yeah.
Yep,
Jeez.
we got them all over.
And I've probably got, this one is my favorite. It's just a little one, but it's good. It's an old Yoda phone one. That's for the phone next to. And then for my iPad and my Bose speaker, I've got another one over here.
Oh, okay. That's
Those
nice.
are
Anyway.
65 to 140.
Wow. Hey, listen, I just noticed that the time has run out here. We got about a minute and a half left. And I want to thank you all for joining us tonight. This has been a nice discussion that, for the most part, we haven't even talked that much about Trump. We've mentioned him a few times. But we bored everybody with our history of old bicycles. So, you know, I hope they enjoyed that.
And getting your balls whacked.
And getting our balls whacked, yes. Thank you so much, Charlie. Nice having you here once again. What does it say? I'm into fitness. Fitness beer in my belly.
My travel.
Len, thank you for being here tonight. Thank
Call
you
me tomorrow.
to Kevin or Brian for being here. And thanks to Alan for being here. And thanks to Brian or Kevin for being here. And Jeff, thank you for being on our program tonight and participating. And finally, Bree, great to hear from you from Malaysia. Everybody give a big wave goodbye, and I'll give a big wave goodbye at you, okay? Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
There they go, ladies and gentlemen. That's our citizens panel for tonight. I'll see you. Let's see. Amy is next with the intersection, and if you want to call her, she uses Zoom, and you can simply go to gabnet.net, go to column 3, look down at the bottom. It's got a bunch of names there. It's got hers down there. Click on that. It'll zoom you right to her. I'll see you again tomorrow night for our last show of the week. So join me tomorrow night. Same time, same station in life. And as always, if you see her, tell her I love her, okay? Bye-bye, everybody.